Dose of Terror is where we search high and low for that most elusive of treasures out there, the good Bigfoot movie. This week, I've got another On the Trail of Bigfoot documentary and two films that look at the more spiritual side of Sasquatch. Let's start squatching. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. On the Trail of Bigfoot, Land of the Missing is a documentary, new on demand on August 22nd, 2023 from Small Town Monsters. It's directed by Seth Breedlove. Seth Breedlove continues his quest to find out as much as he can about Sasquatch. In this On the Trail of Bigfoot installment, Breedlove travels to Alaska, where some of the most vicious Bigfoot reports have been noted. For some reason, there have been an excessive amount of missing persons in Alaska. Some believers account a portion of these missing persons to Bigfoot, so Breedlove tries to get to the bottom of it all in Land of the Missing. Breedlove hits the ground conducting interviews with Bigfoot experts, residents who have heard the rumors, and folks who have actually had encounters with Bigfoot in the past. Many of these interviews are quite compelling, telling stories I had never heard of before, and being an insomniac who listens to Bigfoot stories on YouTube every night to go to sleep, that's quite a feat. Feat. The pun wasn't intended. Along with the interviews, there are beautiful shots of the Alaskan wilderness where one could understand how someone might get lost very easily and succumb to the elements there. Breedlove also maps out specific areas where the Bigfoot have been seen, the different types of Bigfoot the locals claim to exist, and other wildlife that may be mistaken for the creature. Breedlove approaches all of it with a skeptical eye and a heart filled with hope that the creature exists. Paintings of Bigfoot are littered throughout the documentary. These might be actual man-made, or they might be AI art. I hate it that we have to distinguish that these days. Either way, they depict Bigfoot in an ominous and terrifying light, and really do a good job of illustrating why folks are so scared of this cryptid. I'm going to give On the Trail with Bigfoot, Land of the Missing, 2 big feets and 5 big toes. This is one of the better installments of the On the Trail of Bigfoot series of documentaries. The images of Bigfoot were nightmarish, and the stories were compelling as hell. Breedlove may not be closer to the truth, but he's making this trail to find out more about Bigfoot a fun one to take. Summoning the Spirit is new on demand and digital download from Dark Star Pictures. It's directed by Jon Garcia and written by Zach Carter and Jon Garcia. Dean and Carla, played by Ernesto Reyes and Crystal Millie Valdez, are expecting their first child and set to buy a new home in the middle of the woods. Upon arriving at the home, Carla has a miscarriage, leaving the couple feeling hopeless and lost. Fortunately, there is a spiritualist cult living on the other side of the forest who welcomes them with open arms and a promise for spiritual cleansing. They worship a giant who walks the woods, and the couple thinks that's a metaphor, but it turns out it's Sasquatch. And while the cult's intentions at first seem to be genuine, their true motives are not so nice. There have only been a few Bigfoot films that highlight the cryptid's role in the spiritual world. While Native Americans often view the creature as a noble protector of nature, most of the films depict Bigfoot as a rampaging monster, territorial in nature, and willing to tear the arms off of anyone who trespasses into their forest. Summoning the Spirit gives an interesting take on Sasquatch, as it seems to be working along with the cult for reasons kept quiet until the very end of the film. Films like Feed the Gods told this kind of tale before, but Summoning leans more towards highlighting the spiritualism aspect than the carnage. So expect a lot of scenes of chanting, dancing, people speaking very slowly, and using positive words that will make cynical hearts like my own cringe. I can't say I enjoyed the attention to the more loopity-loo aspects of spiritualism, but I guess you could say it was represented well here, as is the story of how this might seem interesting to a couple who has experienced such a loss. The Bigfoot looks good, but unfortunately, director Jon Garcia chooses to focus the camera directly on the costume, which tends to highlight some of the Bigfoot suit's glaring flaws. There is bunching up on some areas, the chest piece is very carved and non-moving, the face looks terrifying enough, but it's unable to move much or emote, save for the eyes, giving it a constant grimace. It's also way too clean. They should have rolled the costume around in the dirt a little to make it feel more worn in and weathered. For the most part, Bigfoot doesn't really do much but saunter around the forest, which doesn't make him the most captivating of monsters, but there are some key moments where the suit works amazingly as the monster moves with an animal quickness, leading to some extremely startling death scenes. I'm going to give summoning the spirit 2 big feet and 3 big toes. I feel too much of summoning the spirit is spent on the spiritual side of the cult. The central conflict between the couple really isn't that compelling. While the Bigfoot does factor in prominently with their plans, there's not enough of it, and he doesn't have enough to do in the story. Aside from a massacre at the end, there are only 2 kills, and while shocking, they go by all too quickly, leaving most of the movie forcing one to endure the blandness of the constant affirmation and chanting from the cult. I will give this movie props for trying something new and having a decent Bigfoot costume. Dark Nature is new on demand and digital download from Dread. It's directed by Brady and written by Brady and Tim Cairo. 5 women, all dealing with their own personal and relationship issues, go on a camping trip in an attempt to be one with nature and maybe even heal a little bit. But the serenity of the woods begin to play tricks on their minds, and deep in the woods, a monster is lurking in the shadows. Is it a Bigfoot movie when the movie itself doesn't identify the monster as Bigfoot? I'm leaning towards yes, as Dark Nature definitely has a large man-like monster covered in hair, scars, and its own recent kills. While the monster in this film represents a number of things to each member of the therapy group, it still exists in their world as this snarling, slobbering beast. There may be no information really given about the monster, but it not only serves as the strong metaphor for each of these women's issues, but also as a terrifying, hulking menace to them in the physical world. So sure, while it never calls the monster Bigfoot, Dark Nature's monster would pass as Bigfoot any old day. Dark Nature is a strong film reminiscent of The Descent, which itself was ripe with metaphorical challenges for its cast, as well as physical ones. It's a woman versus nature film, where the point of the whole movie is simply survival. Leads, don't say its names, Madison Walsh, and Jigsaw's Hannah Emily Anderson are both very good actors, as both deliver a physically demanding performance, as well as one that is emotionally potent. Anderson plays an abused woman, and does so in ways that isn't often depicted in film. She isn't strong, and she gives in to her emotionally and physically abusive boyfriend all the time. This is a role far too many women play in real life, but it really doesn't fit the character of what Hollywood likes to promote as a female lead. Anderson gives her character flaws. She's terrified of her boyfriend, yet she gives in to him numerous times. While she's given a nice redemptive arc, it's more of a realistic one than any go-girl moment. Walsh is also great here as Anderson's best friend who supports her emotional growth, but has reached her limit as to how long she can sit back and watch her best friend hurt herself by being with this man. All of this emotional heft is communicated through flashbacks and a few meaningful conversations, and while it's important to the story, it never slows down the pace. I'm going to give Dark Nature 4 solid feats. While it's not actually a Bigfoot film, it fits into the category nicely. Director Brady delivers some arduous wilderness action that never feels sensationalized, and a monster that truly is terrifying. I really like the way the monster of Dark Nature is slowly revealed. At first, it appears as past traumas, but eventually the real threat of the monster reveals itself, and it's all quite disturbing. If you're interested in seeing how I ranked a ton of other Bigfoot films, you can follow the link that I provided down right before the comments below. You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck in
inside.